Hey guys, it's Kara here. I'm back with another video. This time it's a studio vlog. I would say this would be my very first one since it showcased how I got all of my art equipment. This was from a year ago when I still lived with my dad, when I used to do everything in the living room before I got this nice office. So I do look a little bit different, and I'm excited to share the beginning of that journey with you guys because oh man, looking back, I decided to go with this route, manufacturing things myself compared to buying a bunch of designs and just from other manufacturers and selling myself, because I didn't know what type of designs would sell well. So I thought it would really make more sense to invest a lot into these equipment, and I'll share all my thoughts. And I must say that this video is sponsored by my online shop, shop.care2.com. I recently launched these two designs of pencil cases that I made at home using the equipment that you guys will see in this video. So check them out, shop.care2 today if you're any Genshin fan. And next week I'll be launching these tiny notebooks that I also made at home, and I'm so happy. I can't wait to show you guys more of like this journey of trying to grow my art business. I've recorded a lot of it. It took me till now to edit a lot of them because there was a lot of difficulties in the beginning. I was also in school. I was also trying to move out of state. So there was a lot of different moving parts that I didn't get a chance to share till now. I wanted to personally introduce you guys at the beginning of the video since this is going to be a long dozy one. I love to talk in these vlogs since I like watching these types of vlogs while I work. So if you're multitasking, this will be a great listen. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And we're in it, guys. Let's start off the vlog by getting some breakfast. I love Honey Nut Toast Cheerios, and as I mentioned before in the intro, this was back at my dad's house, so a totally different scenery. And as always with these vlogs, I try to be dynamic and move the camera a lot because I find that the most entertaining way, and also sitting through hours of footage, I feel like that's the most interesting way. And we enter my old room. Oh my gosh, I miss my old room, man, but not really too much because there was that much space, but so much nostalgia. So I'm eating some breakfast, watching some anime YouTube video. Again, this was a year ago, so I don't remember exactly everything I was doing, but I don't think that's the whole point of this vlog. So make sure you guys get your breakfast in because I'm gonna be unboxing a lot of heavy equipment. So the very first one is this Epson printer. I got it refurbished, as you guys can see in the box. Epson has their printer on their refurbished website for a huge % off if you're looking for that, but it does not ship as quickly as Amazon, so I'm still gonna like the Amazon link as well as their refurbished link. So yeah, this Epson printer is actually not for my stickers. I know it's really great for stickers since the ink like lasts a long time, but I actually got this printer to do sublimation. Sublimation is a process that I use to make merch that I will cover more in future vlogs and separate videos on how I make my products. But yeah, it came in pretty much mint condition. I love this printer. And I like that this printer also has a scanner because the printer that I used to make my actual big prints doesn't have scanner, so that was really nice. It only prints up to 8.5 by 11 inches, which is a standard piece of paper. I like that the ink for this printer is really cheap, even for sublimation. So yeah, and also I love that the color that it comes in because it makes it match really well with my other supplies. It came with some like at least 2 years worth of ink, but I can't use that for sublimation. Sublimation needs to use a special ink. So this was because before I got all my shells, so I just put it inside the giant TV unit. I ended up moving it around a lot since, yeah, a lot of decision making. But yeah, this printer was a good investment, but the thing is it broke after a year because I just didn't use it as much. The thing about sublimation and printer of any kind is that you have to make sure you print from it at least once a week or the printer head gets clogged. So yeah, the rest of this section of this vlog is just me setting up my computer in the living room and to try to get this to work. Yeah, it was pretty simple, but this was one of the printers I fight with. I feel like with all printers you end up fighting with. So yeah, I ended up just working that day. So I have my Tab S7 that I use as a second screen wirelessly that I made a whole video about on my channel if you guys are interested, and it was pretty nice. That's how I was in the living room. Oh man, in that small apartment. Wow, things have changed a lot. If you guys watch any one of my newer videos, you guys will see my current living arrangements. And these are some of humble beginnings for me. And I'm just getting some work done. And I hope you guys are enjoying the jazz music. I feel like that really fits the mood. And onto the next equipment, the heat press. A heat press is just basically a giant hammer. And I searched all over Amazon for a cute one that was also affordable, under $200. And I found one. It was teal. Oh man, teal blue was one of my favorite color schemes, and it was a 5-in-1, so it came with a bunch of these different accessories for you to make mugs, hats, and plates, I guess, like, you know, and print your drawings on plates, which I haven't got a chance to use yet. This one was like super exciting. Again, it's also really heavy. I don't have the total number for all the investment in this video. I will have a whole separate video on that. But yeah, I was so happy to get this. It was really heavy, so I had to get the help of my dad to move this around. And yeah, sublimation was also a huge learning curve, but I think it was the most profitable for me. The reason I went that route instead of just starting with a Cricut and making stickers was because I didn't believe that I could make a whole lot of money from stickers. I didn't know what the profit margins was like for making stickers, and also the learning curve for stickers, like a lot more scary than making merch. With making merch, I just have to work, you know, deal with my standard design software like Photoshop for the most part. With making stickers, you gotta learn how to use the Silhouette software, you gotta learn how to use the Cricut software, and that looks super intimidating for me comparing to making all my designs in Clip Studio Paint, opening them in Photoshop, and kind of just printing them and learning that learning curve. But even then, I was still heavily looking on the Amazon page to figure out where everything goes, since this is super new to me. I found out about the whole sublimation process thanks to TikTok. I saw somebody like making mouse pads at home. I'm like, that's so cool. And I did so much research on the price. And I ended up really loving this method, especially since I tried the whole print-on-demand method for my online shop and did not work out for me, since I did it during the pandemic when everybody was getting print-on-demand. So a lot of those print-on-demand websites got overwhelmed and they couldn't get out orders as fast. There was not a lot in quality control, so I figured this way was gonna be the best way, especially if this doesn't work out with selling my own art. I know that I could become my own print shop per se and print out other people's work, which is something I'm trying to do now, by trying to partner with some of my other artist friends and trying to promote that more in general. Another thing I got was a button maker. I really wanted to make buttons, but this one didn't work out as well. I'll show you guys in another vlog how the struggle went with that. But in this video, it's just me unboxing a lot of those equipment and getting storage for them. This is one of the cheaper button makers on Amazon. I love the color. It was like super bright pastel colors. It came with a 3-in-1, so you could do 3 different button sizes. I believe it was less than $200 when I bought it, and it came with a lot of blanks for you to make buttons themselves. I thought, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. But boy, this was a nightmare to work with, so I ended up returning it. But I still wanted to show you guys the process of me trying to put it together, because it was really cool. Maybe there was something wrong with me, because in the Amazon reviews it was all 5 stars, but I had a hard time getting it to work, and with the pressure, and I got super frustrated. And that's the thing about making everything at home. Like, no matter what equipment and device that you get, there's going to be some sort of a learning curve, and depending on what type of background you have, it might be a little bit easier or much harder. So yeah, the instruction just came in this one piece of paper, and the thing is, I was so excited. Look at all the different size buttons you can make, because I know buttons are like huge sellers at anime conventions. Because again, I got this a couple months before some of my very first anime conventions, and no amount of tutorials helped. I managed to make like 2 buttons from this, man. 2 buttons. I was so sad. I'm definitely gonna revisit this again when I have a little bit more capital to invest into that. But yeah, it was so disappointing. So if any of you guys have gone one of these cheap bud makers, let me know. From other videos I've researched, the metal ones are much better, since it was really hard to like switch out the different sizes and just punch the buttons in general. I even got my dad to help, another friend to help, and no bueno. So, and now into my favorite parts, my art printer. This one is a Canon printer. I'll link the exact model down below. I got it from the Canon website directly, I think, or Best Buy. The reason I got this one because it can print up to 13 by 17, I believe, so that's the biggest print size that it sells, like giant poster size. It prints super high quality, and it was one of the easier printer to use, and I still use this one till this day, and it was under $300, which I'm so thankful for, since a lot of the research I did, a lot of people said I had to get the pro version of that printer, which I didn't have the money for. And also the ink for this one is also not super expensive either. I use a lot of third-party inks for this printer, but it does take up a lot of space. It did give me some connectivity issue with the Bluetooth, but that also can be various factors with like your computer, Windows, and so forth. So this one I got brand new. I didn't get refurbished. I searched all over to get secondhand, but with such a big printer like this, I decided not to get it refurbished, at least because I couldn't. But yeah, this one's like my main baby, and I make most of my profits from selling my giant prints, so until thanks to this printer. And now looking at this video, the exact model for this is the i620. I believe that one is discontinued, so there's a newer version of this. I feel like that's still at the same similar price point, so I'm gonna link both of them down below for anyone interested. And as with anything, even though this one was one of the easier equipments I had, it still had learning curves. So I was looking at videos on how to install the ink cartridges, and it even works printing from my phone. So this was with a regular standard printer paper, and I believe it came out pretty good without me having to adjust anything. So yay, we got a W on our hands, which is very rare, since, as I mentioned earlier, printers are not super like user friendly, but this Canon one has been a chef's kiss, and it did not cost like $500 or $1,000, so thank God. And I also use this printer to make my stickers, to make my notebooks, everything. And yeah, that's just me trying to test it out in Photoshop, and this one was just buttery smooth. I also use this printer to print out the button sheets, since that's what you need to make the buttons. And yeah, and now onto the shells. I got shells to put all these equipment on, because for several weeks I had some of these on the floor, some of these on the couch, and my dad did not like that. So I invested into some shelves that I got at Walmart. I did a lot of research into the type of shelves that I wanted, since I wanted them to be wide enough and also strong enough to hold my printers. So these are the ones I decided to get. I believe they're from the brand Mainstay. So yeah, I'm glad I got these. And while filming this, I was playing lots of loud music in the house, since this was labor intensive. I'm about to rearrange my whole corner in the living room, so I needed some energy, so I was playing some really hype music. And yeah, this wasn't too difficult to put together. That was also another thing that I made sure in my research. So when I'm moving, it'll be much easier to move. So all I had to do was just like, I didn't need no equipment to build these. So it was awesome. I made sure to get everything in white, because a lot of the equipments that I was gonna get was pastel colors, and I feel like it was a good neutral color. But now thinking about it, white can be a very dirty color. So just don't try to paint around these types of shells if you decide to get those types of shells. But I guess it depends on you if you're a messy person or not. But yeah, that's also a thought that I'm thinking about now. But yeah, I was so happy that these shells were like idiot proof, especially after having a hard time with everything else. You guys see where I put my printer? I put it on like the little stand that I normally use for my desktop PC. And this was just like a vibe like weekend, and the shirt I'm wearing says Gemini. Ironically, I am a Gemini. My birthday is actually this upcoming Tuesday, May 23rd. So I'm gonna be 23 on the 23rd day of this 23rd year. I guess not really, but 2023. But yeah. Oh man, I learned a lot from trying to start this small business. I initially, like as mentioned, got all this equipment because I signed up for a couple of artist alleys. Because before, I would apply to a lot of them each year and I would not get in. So this was the first year that I did get in. So it did give me this confidence boost to go all in, especially since I got into one of the bigger conventions in my area at the time, which was Florida SuperCon, which I have a whole series of vlogs for that I can't wait to show you guys. I did get accepted to table edit this year, but after running the numbers and cost, especially since now I live out of state in Georgia, it just wouldn't be worth it for me to drive down there. So that's why I'm not gonna be tabling this year, sadly. And also the whole Miami traffic, and Florida has some questionable legislation, and the Florida man just gone more crazy, if you guys been keeping up with the news. But yeah, it took me no time to finish building up the shelf. But now I had to move my other shelf, this rickety shelf that I got from like a thrift store that I used to hold all my books. So I decided to just put everything on this box while I figure out the layout. Don't do what I did, guys. Make sure you guys kind of plan ahead before you get anything, instead of doing it on the after you get everything, because it's a lot of labor. I did all of this myself and I kind of low-key regretted it, because now looking back in this video, I wasn't as efficient as I thought I would want with the space I had. Especially when you have a small space, it's definitely important to plan ahead. I planned ahead enough in terms of measuring to make sure the shelf would fit, but I did not plan out the layout. If I planned out the layout better, then I would have had the shelves right next to each other, I feel like, which would have been more efficient compared to where I ended up putting them, as you guys will see throughout this video. Yeah. And I'm so happy that the printer fit. That was the main thing. I needed something to hold my printers. I didn't want it to be in the media unit because things would be far away. I wanted the printer to be on one shelf, and then that table would be like mostly my packaging table and the table where I make a lot of the stuff. I want it to be all seamless, but it didn't end up that way. That's why I took in mind that for my office, which I also have a vlog of me decorating my whole office from nothing to what I have now. I have a bunch of different videos of me adding some extra stuff, but because I haven't seen the vlog from it being bare bone to what's now, to what is it now, so it's gonna be similar format like this. And yeah, but despite like my nuisance, okay, that's not the right word, besides my complaints, I still had a lot of fun with this. Decorating the space that you create is definitely an exciting endeavor, even if you do switch things around. It was something I was thinking about all the time, even though it wasn't the most efficient use of my time, because when you're a small business owner, it's really easy to think that, oh man, I shouldn't be working on this, I should be focusing on revenue generating activities only. But in a sense, having a nicer space, having more efficient workflow does save you money in the long run. It helps you be more efficient in your workflow. I feel like I said that twice. Sorry, I don't have a large vocabulary is way to explain this, but I hope the point is coming across. As you guys see, I moved this so many times. I was also cleaning as I moved. I made sure to sweep, since again I did live with my parent, but in general, just for your own peace of mind, to clean up, since you don't want any dust to come on your expensive equipment, because we know these were super expensive. A bunch of small investments do add up to a lot. So yeah, that's the heat press. I did not know where I wanted the heat press to be, so I put it in many different positions. And now I took a break for lunch. My dad made food, Haitian food, and it's basically rice and beans with, I don't know what this is. I thought it was legume, which is like vegetable stew, I believe, but it wasn't, since it was like more of a sauce texture. But either way, it was good. My dad cooked it, and it made me feel alive. I didn't know what half of those vegetables were. I don't really know how to translate them from Asian Creole to English. Just so you know, it was good. I really wish that I learned how to make that type of rice from my dad. In Creole, it's called dui kole. And I love that type of rice. It looks so efficient, having the beans and the rice in one pot, and it just cooks. But for now, I just kind of use a rice cooker to cook everything. And I was jamming out, so here's one of the songs I was jamming out to from G-Friends. The song is called Glass Bead by G-Friends, and yeah, I risked the AdSense revenue for this video for that song since I really loved it. It's an old school K-pop song, I believe. I got into G-Friends because of a friend in high school, and yeah, that has nothing to do with the video, but I just wanted to show my G-Friends stance, and like that song just makes me feel alive. And yeah, I'm not kept up with a lot of new K-pop groups. There's just so many of them coming out, but I do listen to a lot of old K-pop songs that came out in the mid 2000s and stuff. So yeah, after eating lunch, I was kind of mostly on my phone vibing out, and yeah, I wanted to include that portion in this video since I liked how I decorated the apartment. A lot of this decoration was like me, and my dad was wondering, why do I have all these tintente in the apartment, which is basically meaning like, why do you have all these knickknacks in the place, like why? So I just wanted to show it off because I'm really proud of all the knickknacks I have in the place. And I was stretching, and guys could see how my vlogging camera looks. It's just basically this like tiny little vlog camera, which makes it super efficient to move around. That's how I'm able to get all these angles. I'm also able to control it wirelessly with my tablet. So I love this camera. It's DJI Pocket 2. I always link in the description. And yeah, now time to build the silicon shelf. I'm gonna go through this a little bit faster, so to I know this can be uninteresting, but this is nighttime. It's a different scenery, so I'm hoping it's nicer. Yeah, guys, I'm trying to show my personality a bit more in these vlogs. I've never really spoken Haitian Creole in my vlogs. I'm Haitian. If most of you guys don't know, I was born in Haiti. I came here when I was 8 years old, and I've been here ever since. And yeah, this is like my channel where I document my creative journey. I really want to become an animator, but in the process of that, I also need to make some money to survive. So these are the many things I've tried to make. And starting art business was something that I didn't think I could do until I got the confidence from those conventions. Yeah, as silly as it sounds, like you don't need the approval of a convention staff to sell your art. You just gotta be confident in it. And even then, seeing confident, even like last year, even still now, I'm still not super confident in my art, but I'm trying to get over that, since the type of art that you need to make to sell commercial stuff doesn't need to be like Picasso, doesn't need to be like the greatest ever. As long as you understand your target customer and who you're trying to reach, I feel like you'll do much better. Even with saying that, I don't have much of a strategy in place right now with my online store. It's a lot of like fan art at the moment, since I'm trying to sell off my current convention stock, and then after I sell that, I'll take time to design the type of things I do want to sell, which is a target audience of other people like me that grew up in the mid 2000s and nostalgia and video games and things that like brings the joy as adults. Yeah, currently I'm cleaning up the place because it was just a lot of dust from building all this thing and moving things out, since I crammed so many tiny things into this apartment. I could see why my dad was upset now, but at the moment I did not see it. I was having a whole lot of fun. I was trying to fit as much thing as possible. I gotta admit, I am a hoarder. But yeah, having like the right target audience and having a certain types of appeal would really help. But just because you don't have that doesn't mean that you can't start. So start with what you have, experiment. You learn from experimenting. That's also why I really want to start selling at conventions first before I started online, because I got to see people's like reaction to my work in more real time. Online, when somebody goes on my website and they don't buy, I don't have enough data to see why they didn't buy, or if they were interested, or they were busy. But in person, you get to see that. So I found that a little bit easier to start with compared to online, which is what I'm trying to tackle now, since I also had a hard time in the convention scene because I'm introverted. These upcoming vlogs I have for the artists, I had friends to help me, so it made it much easier. So there's challenges wherever you go, in terms of trying to make a living with your art. So I would just say, if you're in that same boat, to just go for it. Experience is your greatest teacher, because what works for one person may not necessarily work for you, since we're all unique individuals with different skills, talents, ideals. So just go for it. So sorry I went on like a little bit of philosophical rant, but yeah, right now I finished building the second shelf. I'm adding all my books to it. Thinking about it now, this shelf was not the right type of bookshelf for books, but it ended up working out for me in that moment, since it did give me a lot of wiggle room to put other stuff other than my books on there. That's why recently, if you guys watch my recent studio makeover, I got some skinnier shelves for my books and my sketchbooks. And yeah, but at the time it worked, because I was able to, these shelves are super wide. I make sure I measured them, so I was able to get a lot of equipment. I put some of the extra heat press equipment on there, which was nice, which was the hat maker, the mug maker. I put in the bin. Even though it was like chaotic, I feel like it still works, and it fits my personality, I believe. Kind of chaotic by nature, even though I'm very shy outside of my home. But yeah, this was very fun. This giant box that you see me moving around a lot was the Vike tablet that Vike sent to me, which was my main display for a long time, that I made a dedicated video on. I'll put it in the pop-up card, also in the description. But yeah, at the time I did not have space for it in my room, so I just kind of put in the section in the living room. I was also trying to decorate the space a lot too, since I was going to film more vlogs in this room and I wanted to look nice. I got a lot of knickknacks from like the dollar store, as always, and Facebook Marketplace, Ross, which is this department store in South Florida. I'm not sure if they have it any other place. My dad also worked from home at that time, so this type of setup was his setup. I gave him the standing desk that Flexi Spot sent to me, so I had to also work around that. I ended up moving a lot of his things that he didn't not like much, but he ended up like being very understanding, since he saw how hard I was working. So there are limitations, especially when you're trying to start a business from home. You don't have a lot of space, it's not your place, so you don't have a whole lot to say in how things go. But I think fairly for me, my dad was more understanding than other type of Caribbean parents, would be more judgmental and more harsh, so I was thankful for that. I also had to arrange all the cables in this place to make sure this was a safe place to create, since I was going to be using a lot of heat. And I must say that I messed up earlier. A heat press is like, not a giant hammer, but a heat press is more like the things you use to iron clothes. An iron, yeah, that's the word. I'm so sorry, guys. English is not my first or second language. It's actually my third. Haitian Creole was my first language, then French, then English. And Haitian Creole and French are not the same type of language. So even though they're very like similar, Haitian Creole has its own sense of vocabulary. Just because you know Haitian Creole, does that mean you know French? Because oh boy, I did forget French when I got in high school. But yeah, this was the tour of this little corner, guys. I'm so proud of everything, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.